The knife sliced clean through the turkey, but Claire Hayes barely felt the heat of the oven or the sharp smell of sage and thyme. Her mother's voice echoed above the clinking of plates. "To Ryan," Eleanor declared, lifting her wine glass with perfect posture. "For making it into the Navy SEALs. Our family's legacy continues." Applause rippled through the dining room. Claire forced a smile as her brother Ryan nodded sheepishly at the praise, eyes flitting toward her for just a second, then looking away. Her father's eyes never found hers, not even once. "I'm just in insurance," she whispered to her cousin Lauren, who stood beside her at the kitchen counter, pretending to help with dessert. Lauren smirked. "Still pushing papers for that agency? I don't know how you do it. I'd die of boredom." Claire laughed politely, even as her mind flashed back to just 36 hours earlier, when she'd coordinated an extraction of hostages from a collapsed safe house in Eastern Europe. Machine gun fire. Satellite interception. Her voice on encrypted comms. Not exactly pushing papers, but to everyone here, she was Claire the dropout, Claire the underachiever, Claire the one who never lived up to Captain Hayes's name. She swallowed another spoonful of silence, plating the pie with mechanical grace. No one would ever know that her coat, neatly hung by the door, still smelled faintly of gunpowder. Later that evening, as the family sat around the table in post-dinner warmth, Thomas Hayes leaned back, resting his arm behind his wife's chair. "When you know who you are," he said loudly, "you don't need to prove it. That's what I always told Ryan." Claire's throat tightened. Her mother added with a soft smile, "We're proud of what he's building, really proud." Lauren sipped her wine, tilted her head. "And Claire? You still in claims?" Claire nodded. "Yeah, steady benefits." "No shame in that," Lauren said, but her tone had the shine of condescension. "Not everyone can chase danger." Claire excused herself, stepping out onto the porch where the winter wind bit sharper than the words inside. She pulled her phone from her pocket and checked her secure channel. A single message blinked. "Mission success. Package extracted. Proceed to decompression." No one in that house would ever see it. No one would ever know. Back at her command unit 3 days later, the illusion cracked. Her report on a recent operation had been flagged. "Incomplete metadata," the review said. Claire's brow furrowed. She hadn't made a mistake. She double-checked her encryption logs. Someone had tampered with the timestamps. Selective lines removed. It was intentional. She stormed into the ops floor. "Who had access to my mission briefs last week?" Lieutenant Marcus, sitting too casually in his chair, glanced up with fake innocence. "Everything's compartmentalized, Colonel. If something's missing, maybe it was never there." Claire stared him down. "I don't like being played, Lieutenant." He shrugged. "Just saying. Some of us don't get promoted because we smile in uniform." Claire turned without another word, but her mind was racing. This wasn't a mistake. It was sabotage, and worse, it might stick. In the shadows where she worked, even a whisper of unreliability could end her career faster than a bullet. The next mission was Ryan's SEAL graduation. She wasn't required to go, but she needed to. She needed them to see her, not the version they imagined in khakis at a cubicle, but the one who carried nations in encrypted files and slept with a loaded Sig Sauer by her bed. She would attend quietly, in civilian clothes. They wouldn't even know she was there, until they did. If you've ever been overlooked despite giving everything you had, type 1. You're not invisible, you're just not easy to define. "Colonel Hayes?" The title hung in the air like a detonation. Claire froze mid-step, her civilian heels suddenly heavier than combat boots. The voice had come from the stage. Admiral Douglas, gray-haired and steel-eyed, now standing at the podium for Ryan's Navy SEAL pinning ceremony. Families turned. Ryan turned. Her parents, seated in the front row, turned. She had worn nondescript slacks and a navy blouse. No insignia, no ribbons, just shadows. But her cover story had just shattered under fluorescent light. "I didn't expect to see you here," Douglas added, stepping down from the podium with a half-smile. "Last time I saw you, your team was neutralizing the threat near the Syrian-Turkish border. You saved lives, as always." Claire felt the blood drain from her face. Behind the Admiral, Commander Price emerged from the crowd, recognizing her immediately. Colonel Hayes, Antalya was textbook. Your protocols are now part of our interagency standards. All eyes were now on her. Thomas Hayes stood up, his body stiff. There must be some mistake, he said flatly. My daughter left the Naval Academy. She's in insurance. Admiral Douglas raised a brow. Air Force Special Operations, Intel Division. Colonel Hayes is among the best we've got. The insurance job was, understandably, a cover. Claire looked at her stunned brother. Is this true? He asked, voice low, careful. Yes, she replied. All of it. Gasps. Silence. Then the sound of her mother's wineglass clinking awkwardly against her chair. Back at the family home, hours later, the dinner that was supposed to celebrate Ryan's triumph had morphed into something surreal. Her father sat stiffly at the head of the table, trying to reconcile his daughter's classified career with the decades of perceived failure. So, you've been lying to us. No, Claire said calmly. I followed orders. Operational security requires full cover. You know that. Her mother's voice cracked. But we thought you'd failed, that you gave up. You never asked, Claire said softly. You just assumed. Ryan leaned forward. You missed my engagement party, my graduation dinner, every milestone. Claire met his eyes. During your engagement, I was coordinating the extraction of 3 kidnapped UN workers from a hostile zone. I didn't choose the mission's timing, Ryan. I chose to protect lives. A long pause. I didn't know, he whispered. No one knew. Claire stood to refill her water glass. Her hands trembled slightly. I didn't want it this way, but the work didn't give me a choice. The next morning, the fallout followed her back to her office. An encrypted email awaited her. Subject: Internal Ethics Review. Urgent allegation: data manipulation. Lieutenant Marcus Caldwell. Claire's stomach turned. She opened the attached file. Screenshots of incomplete metadata supposedly submitted under her ID. Her mission briefs had been doctored. Details missing, timestamps misaligned. Marcus's handiwork. She'd been set up. Just then, a secure envelope was slid under her door. Inside, a USB drive. Audio file name, Marcus-confession01.wave. She plugged it in. I tweaked the logs. She won't even know until it's too late. Marcus's voice crackled. She's had enough spotlight. It's time someone else got ahead. Claire closed the laptop slowly. So it was a war now. She didn't flinch. If someone's ever tried to erase your hard work just to get ahead, type 2. Sometimes, silence isn't humility. It's strategy. The review board sat in silence as Claire Hayes slid the USB into the secured terminal. The audio filled the glass-walled room. She won't even know until it's too late, Marcus's voice echoed. She's had her spotlight. Time someone else got promoted around here. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Brigadier General Rowland leaned forward. Colonel Hayes, is this your voice on the file? No, sir, Claire replied evenly. But it belongs to the officer who filed the complaint against me, and the metadata logs, unaltered and time-stamped, are attached in my report, pages 6 through 11. She slid the hard copy across the table. The legal advisor flipped through it, eyes widening. Clear evidence of tampering, he muttered, and attempted career sabotage. Roland nodded. Charges against Colonel Hayes are dismissed, effective immediately. Lieutenant Caldwell will be placed under investigation pending removal from duty. Claire gave a single professional nod, then stood, her spine straight, her voice calm. Thank you, sir. Permission to return to assignment? Denied, Roland said, but not unkindly. You're being reassigned. Effective tomorrow, you're to report to Joint Command Intelligence. As a brigadier general, promotion orders signed this morning. Claire blinked. I wasn't informed. We were waiting to see how you handled this situation. You didn't just pass the test. You wrote the manual. The 4th of July barbecue at her parents' house had once been a battlefield of awkward silences and quiet erasure. But this year, as Claire approached with a homemade potato salad in hand, Her father stood up from the grill and addressed his retired Navy friends with pride. Gentlemen, this is my daughter, Brigadier General Claire Hayes, Air Force Special Operations. A respectful pause, then nods all around. One even offered a crisp handshake. Claire smiled, genuinely this time. Her mother emerged from the house moments later, pulling her into a hug that lingered longer than usual. "Come inside," she whispered. "I want to show you something." In the study, once a shrine to her father's naval memorabilia, there was now a new addition, a small display tucked into the corner. Her academy graduation photo, an official, unclassified portrait in uniform, a single medal, just enough to speak volumes without revealing too much. "I wasn't sure what was okay to show," her mother said. "But I needed to show something." Claire swallowed. "It's perfect." Back outside, Ryan manned the grill, flipping burgers with ease. He gave her a grin. "General," he greeted her playfully, offering a mock salute. "You want one or two?" "Two. I've been living on MREs for 3 weeks." He raised a brow, instantly understanding. "Undisclosed location?" She nodded. "No details, I know," he added quickly. "But it's good to see you. Here." They sat on folding chairs as fireworks cracked through the air above. Claire leaned back, watching red and blue light scatter over her father's old uniform. Then her secure phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. A new alert. High priority briefing. Threat level red target. Domestic infrastructure compromise. Civilian front deployment. 36 hours. She locked the screen and stood. Her father joined her at the edge of the yard. "Back to work?" She nodded. "Always." He looked at her, really looked at her, and said, "Took me too long to see it, but I'm proud of the path you chose, even when I couldn't see it." Claire smiled. "That's the thing about classified missions, Dad. Sometimes the truth isn't hidden, it's just protected." If you've ever had to fight quietly for the recognition you deserved, type 3. Sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's what keeps everything else standing.